I think, you know what? Let me take that back. Zion could play with either or.
You think so?
He could play with either or. I think Dre.
I mean, because the lob threat for Dre hasn't been there the last couple of years. I would like to see Dre with that high-low lob threat as a guy who's cutting.
So you
But I also think the Pelicans could use a guy like Draymond Green. Like, they need some nasty.
You asked me the question whether or not Zion can go inside. And you think about what he does on the floor.
I meant more as a post player, not as a guy that like catches the ball, dribbled head down. I meant more like back to the basket and being able to pass off the split action.
You get him that low block. I think he could.
Okay.
I mean, Stan Van Gundy had him playing
20, like 3.
Stan Van Gundy had him playing the point forward.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes, I do.
And he started dropping triple doubles.
I know. He was walking into threes too because people are laying off of him.
Right, but he doesn't attempt a lot of threes. He averages just 0.6 attempts per game over the course of his career, so he doesn't live and die by the three. He goes inside. You look at his field goal attempts in 2021, 17 field goal attempts. Well, 16 and a half came inside the paint.
Would you give me this comp? And I don't mean player style. I'm talking about like needing just a fresh start. Got a lot of Baron Davis vibes to the Zion thing. Remember when they picked up Baron? It was like, oh, he's a really good player. Something's off. New Orleans, it's not working. You know, he needs to kind of like free himself of that situation.
Right.
Now, I think Zion's more talented than Barron,
and
at least has higher upside. And I think that he's also a guy who's younger than what Barron was when they traded for him.
You know, Barron had at least made the playoffs, though.
Yeah, he had that buzzer beater shot.
He had the buzzer beater shot.
So
he dunked over Jermaine O'Neal. He at least tasted the playoffs.
Was it him and Jamal McGlure?
Yeah, Jamal McGlure. Yep, Jamal Mashburn.
Oh, that's right.
Did they have Wesley on that team?
Monster Mash?
Yeah, Monster Mash. No, he at least made the playoffs. They were at least doing something.
Zion's basically the 1 year? I mean, essentially.
He's never been to the playoffs.
Yeah, but come along for the ride, kid.
Yeah, I mean, hasn't played. It's a good comp, but at least Barron had made the playoffs.
More situational.
Yeah, situational where you could just get him up out of there.
Yeah, just get out of there. That's why I honestly, to this day, I think Mully did the trade. One of the greatest trades in Warrior history.
It made so
Speedy
much sense.
Clankson and Dale Davis for Baron Davis. Yeah. Just look at that on paper.
That is that's highway robbery.
I remember listening to Bob Fitzgerald break that down, that it was happening on the radio, and my jaw dropped.
Well, I remember.
I'll never forget it.
I talked to Mully about it. He had to do some convincing. With B. Dizzle. Because it was a tough sell.
Oh, he didn't want to come?
Of course not. Well, who would want to come to the Warriors during those times?
Well, and also Mike Montgomery.
And they didn't get along. And, and this is where
Barron was so
you talk
sick.
to players, and I listened to Mully, and I listened to a lot of players where they basically said, look, man, if it comes down to it, a coach or a player, you always side with the superstar player.
Yes, no doubt.
You get rid of the coach in a heartbeat. And Mike Montgomery has some issues, and you know what? Away he went. And he hired back Don Nelson, and the rest is history.
What are you rolling the dice on Zion for? What are you comfortable giving up for someone like him?
We need some shooting around him. So you have Steph and Clay. Let me think JP. Do you move JP? Do you move Draymond? I don't see, it's all I don't know. Like, first of all, you got to ask yourself the question.
I would like to see Klay Thompson play with Zion, because I still think we could see a more efficient version of Klay Thompson with an inside presence.
This is what I keep coming back to. Is this Warriors team, if they bring it back in, Jordan Poole and Draymond dap it up, say, hey, we're cool. Let's go win another championship. And Wiggins plays throughout the season. And Kuminga starts to play, and he gives you some minutes, and he shows you the growth that we all anticipate that he's going to have. And we think Moody's going to be a solid player. Like, is this Warriors team still good enough to compete with that Denver Nuggets team? I'm not sure. Like, because Karl-Anthony Towns doesn't do it for me. Like, Karl-Anthony Towns doesn't get you past the LA Lakers to me.
Is that depending on what you give up, or just acquiring him in general?
Yeah, him, and you're going to have to give up something.
That's what I'm saying.
You're going to have to give up a lot, and it's him. Like, is he good enough to carry you?
Well,
I don't think so.
That's a fair point. I just think that, like, Warrior fans are in this bubble. We all like Kuminga. Just no GM in the league thinks that Kuminga is going to be Zion. No, when Zion's healthy, he's a 30-point game scorer.
He's an all-star.
Yeah, exactly. Now, maybe Kuminga takes rapid, leaps forward and bounds forward. And look, I'm optimistic, and I really like the guy, but like, you have to remove emotion, get out of the bubble, and say to yourself, if you were to bet $100 one way or the other, is Kuminga ever going to become even close to what a healthy Zion? Now, there's another question, which is like, is Zion ever going to be healthy? That's
right.
a fair point. But like, Kuminga has yet to show any of what Zion's shown.
Right. So Zion Williamson in a 17-game stretch in 2021, 17-game stretch here, and Stan Van Gundy got axed, and but he tried this. He had this experiment of Zion Williamson playing point forward. Nearly 29 points a game, 4 assists, 7.5 rebounds. Shot 58.5% from the floor. Didn't shoot the three well at all. Didn't even attempt a three really per game. Shot 18%, but barely took a three a game. But he was, 11 to 19 from the floor. And this guy was going to the bucket. He was going to the free throw line. He was going to the free throw line 9 times a game. So when we talk about going to the basket and getting easy buckets, what else do we talk about? Getting to the free throw line. That's why I'm having a hard time saying, wait a minute, you want to trade Jordan Poole? He's one of the few guys who does attack the basket and get to the free throw line. That's important, man. Look at the Lakers series. I mean, you don't get to the free throw line. You don't get to set your defense. You don't slow the game down. Exactly.
Why is Jimmy Butler so good in the playoffs?
Gets to the free throw line.
Exactly. And he slows the game down. And then he puts your team in foul trouble.
Jokic gets to the free throw line.
Jokic, yeah, you're right.
Murray gets to the free throw line. I'm looking at...
Wouldn't you also agree? Like, I know we're looking at Jokic and the Nuggets today, but I'm also like a left eye slant looking over at Anthony Davis. And you need somebody to like kind of run through or by Anthony Davis.
Yes, you do.
Like, because I think we've been separated.
Anthony Davis exposed to Golden State Warriors.
Right. So like my number one thing is, if you can in the open market, to me, if you're going to move off anything and bring something in, it does have to be size.
Yep, it does. I'm with you there. That's why the whole CP3 thing, I know it's fun to entertain. But I'm thinking, the last thing I need is another small guard.
I know he's more of like a vet min, add-on.
Right.
Like, that's not a big change.
And even then, it's got to be the right vet, because you could bring in the wrong vet and he ruins everything, right? Like, I think you could. Would you rather have Seth Curry or Patrick Beverly than CP3?
Yeah,
I think I would.
think Seth Curry would. Yeah, I like Seth Curry.
Yeah, I think I would over CP3. I may lean Pat Bev over CP3.
When Seth Curry got hurt for the Nets, it really hurt them a couple years ago.
It really.
It really did.
And Philadelphia too. He had some good times with Philadelphia. I'm looking at Karl-Anthony Towns' free throw attempts. Last year, 29 games, he averaged 4.5 free throw attempts. His career high is 6.5. For his career, he gets to the free throw line 5 times. To me, that's not enough for a big like him. You look at Joel Embiid. What is he doing? Get to the free throw line 9, 10, 11 times. Jokic getting to the free throw line a lot. You see Zion Williamson just in that small sample size, 9 free throws a game. Karl-Anthony Towns, the more I talk about it, the more I'm talking myself out of him. 5 free throw attempts per game for his career. That tells you that he doesn't play big.
No. Can I ask you another guy? I'm not doing the whole trade machine thing, but I'm just asking out loud. Julius Randle seems to be a guy in and out when it comes to Knicks fans and the Knicks fan base. To me, I don't think he's the kind of quote-unquote big. He's too perimeter-based as well and too ball-centric for me. But he's a guy out there. Does he do anything for you?
No. You give him the ball, and you're not getting the ball back. The ball just sticks in his hands.
I'm with you. What
Speaking
about
of bad body language too?
The body language
bad
is terrible.
Body language.
6'7", he's a tweener.
He's got a lot of the Draymond qualities offensively in terms of passing and stuff. But to me, I don't think they need that. I think they need a low post presence.
His shot selection, I'm good.
What about Pascal Siakam, which is a name they've been kind of linked to for multiple years now? It does feel with Fred VanVleet, who
he's gone.
He opted out, and it feels like he's out of Toronto. Toronto is going to do some movement here. It feels like
they're going to probably build around Scotty Barnes as opposed to Siakam.
So, what do you think? Would that?
What is it going to cost for Siakam? What is it going to cost for Siakam?
I like Siakam, and he took their lunch money in the finals. I mean, he really did kick our butt.
He did. But he was the 4th option on that team. I know,
but he owned Draymond in that series.
Couple games.
He was sick.
Couple games.
When did we last see him? That play-in game, right? God, he did not.
No, he did not.
He did not look good.
I tell you where else he didn't look good. The bubble. When they played the Boston Celtics in the bubble, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum punked him. It depends what you're giving up. If you're telling me I got to give up Wiggins and Poole for Siakam,
No.
I say no.
No.
Kuminga and Poole, I'm very hesitant on that. Very hesitant.
Kuminga and Poole for Siakam.
I'm
Depending on what I could get in free agency as a ball handler, off like if again he's gonna want more money than this, but like someone like a Fred VanVleet or even your guy CP3, if they wanted to come here for dirt cheap and I can offset, I'd listen. But I'd have a tough time pulling that trigger.
Yeah. Siakam did put up some monster numbers.
That's what I'm saying.
You're listening to 95.7
That's
Game
what I'm saying.
KGNT FM and AC1 San Francisco, always
He was
live.
so good.
On the free Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app and favorite 95.7 The Game for the best and most up-to-date sports coverage. And do not forget that you can also watch us every day on our YouTube and Twitch streams. Just log on and search 95.7 The Game. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel while you are there. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I didn't watch a lot of Toronto Raptor basketball. So I don't know how Siakam has evolved. I'm looking at his three-point shot, 32.4%. He will get wide open looks with Stephen Curry, though.
I agree with that. He likes that top of the key right-hand side shot.
Right. Free throw percentage, 77.5%. Not great. Not the worst. He was an all-star this past season. 24 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. May cost you a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if Poole and Kuminga does it. I think you're throwing in more, and that's
that may be an overpay.
Lot.
Maybe an overpay. Let's go to the night of numbers. Alex in Atlanta. What's happening, man? You're on the roast.
Gentlemen, how's it going this morning? Hey, listen, I'm going to throw a number at you really quick, and then it's going to lead into my point about who I think the Warriors should go after in free agency. So if you go back to the 89-90 season, so that's, 34-year stretch now, 26 of the last 34 NBA champions finished in the top 10 in the league in terms of points allowed per game. So defense clearly has been winning championships for a while now. One of the things the Warriors, I think, definitely have to improve on this offseason. I think the approach we really need to look at is improving the defensive side of the basketball. I mean, Golden State was number 2 in the league in scoring this year, but they were 21st in the league in points allowed. So while I get that, hey, Karl Anthony Towns, that might be a cool target. A player maybe like Zion might be a cool target because of their offensive capability. I really think we got to start pursuing free agents or trade options with more of a focus on defense. Scoring was not a problem for us last year. It was getting stops.
Yeah.
Whenever Steph Curry would go off the floor, if we had a lead, what would happen? Well, we quickly surrender that lead and find ourselves down by 5 to 10 points when Steph came back in. It wasn't necessarily a problem with scoring. It was a problem in defending the basketball while Steph was off the floor. So, a couple of guys I was looking at, Rui Hachimura would be a good one. I don't know how much he's going to cost. Jay Crowder, I think, would be a pretty good one. Don't know how much he's going to cost. Dario Saric, I think, wouldn't be a bad choice as far as
I like Saric.
I like Saric too.
And then if you get into some smaller guys, maybe some potential wing defenders. Joe Ingles, I don't think is a terrible choice. He was
older,
6 Man of the Year candidate a couple of years ago. He is a little older, but solid on the defensive side of the ball. I really think that's where they need to start their offseason is getting more of a focus on defense and letting the offense come through improved defense. That's how they won their championship in 2022.
Interesting stuff, Alex.
I like
there's a lot there.
I like Saric. I've always liked
Saric was a guy where people forget in that Bucks-Suns series, he got hurt in game 2, tore his ACL, and it kind of flipped that series. He was able to, at least there was another body on Giannis Antetokounmpo. That was a big loss for the Suns in those NBA Finals. Nobody talks about that. I do like Saric a lot. He's a winning player. He plays well against the Warriors, too. Punks the Warriors.